This is Frida Liu. If you've just joined us, thank you. We're talking about design thinking for your life. I'm just gonna change the scene for a while. There you go, a little bit more evenly skewed. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna just wait for about maybe 1 or 2 minutes as you all try to come in and thank you again for spending your Saturday afternoon here with us. And of course, Sheila, welcome and thanks for joining me as well. And I know when people are now up and about, probably at some shopping mall. Hi, Jaylee. Thank you for joining. We hope you'll be, we love to hear your comments as we're talking as well. And we'll try to, have a discussion, right? We don't aim to have all the answers, but maybe what we can do in the meantime, maybe Sheila, tell us about you.
Oh my goodness, that's a long story. What specifically do you want to know about me, Frida? Do you want
All
to know
right.
what I
Okay.
do?
Okay. Since we're talking about design thinking for your life, right? Of course, what you're doing right now. Hi, Claudia. Of course, what you're doing right now, which is, a human equation. You're a coach and you're also a trainer. But your history was teacher Sheila, right? And then maths teacher Sheila, and then
Mm-hmm.
moving to what you're doing right now. Your many career transitions.
Many. Maths
Hi,
teacher
girl.
Sheila was, don't know how many incarnations ago, a long, long time in the distant mists of the past. Okay, well, that's my storytelling skill going on here.
I guess you
Dash says can't hear
can't
her.
hear. Is it true? How about the rest? You can't hear me. Is that just you, Dash? Have you got your volume on or not?
Can everyone else hear us? Just give us an indication, please.
Can hear or not? Oh, Dash. Is it just you, Dash? Okay, so anyway, this is our second time on Restream, which we thought was really interesting. So we said, let's try a new tool. That's about design thinking and innovative and trying everything else, right? Okay, I hope the rest can hear. Only you, La Dash. Only you. Hi, Crane. Hi, Crane. Hi, Joanne. Okay, only okay. So let's ignore Dash for a moment. But okay, sorry, Sheila, as you were saying before we get
You're
to the topic.
asking me about me. Okay,
Yes.
well, so I've told this story a few times. We came into teaching simply because I always wanted to be, frankly, Frida, in
Mm.
broadcasting and journalism and
Your
advertising,
dream
that
has
kind of
come
scene.
true. Okay.
Right. So when I finished university, go into a local university those days, parents, civil servants, teachers themselves, and say, no, we can't afford to send you overseas and all that. So okay, I went to a local university, got into the science stream, decided I'll do mathematics because I thought, well, my father was a mathematics teacher and he had a big, he left a lot of impression on me. It's a bit sexy, like, you do maths, people think, wow, very smart. So anyway, I love maths, so I did maths. And then I became a teacher because I wanted to go and join some other industry. My father said to me, no, you can't be sitting around the house and waiting to get a job. I'm not going to support you. Go into teaching and automatically get posting and all that. So, you listen, you're
Mm.
young, you're Indian, you listen to your parents. And
Okay.
right. And
Mhm.
then what happened is that after that, I really got tired. After a while, I love teaching. I'm still a teacher. I'm a trainer, a
Right.
coach. I'm imparting, skills and knowledge to people. But that whole milieu just didn't appeal to me. I thought there's more that I can do. And so I started selling property, for a while.
Okay.
I love real estate. I love
Right.
architecture. So I
Right.
sold property. And then the company offered me a job as a trainer. And I always believe that before the opportunity arises, you must prepare yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was still a teacher, I went and did courses on training management
Mm.
because I said, if I want to leave this career, the most natural progression would be to go into training, lah. So I went
Mm.
and did these courses. So after selling, so doing quite well, selling at the real estate sort of company,
Mm.
the boss offered me a job as a training manager.
Right.
I like, oh wow, this is my exit plan, man. So
Right.
I went. And then from there, I got approached by a property section, since I was a property industry, to come and write for them
Right.
of a newspaper, of the Sun newspaper, actually. And I'm like, what? I don't know if I can write. I mean, I majored in mathematics, like I can speak, and but my the boss to be, right, the employer to be, he said, if you can write as you can speak, you can write. I said, thank you very much for your confidence. You gave me the opportunity. I jumped, I went. because that was another thing, right? You see people's names in headlines in the newspapers, and you're like so impressed. I said, okay, I'll go.
The byline.
And
Yeah.
byline and all that. So I remained in the media for 10 years. So teaching was about 12, 13 years, selling about 2 years. Then I went into training for like 2 years. And then I
Mm-hmm.
went back into journalism. Then I left journalism to go back into training. And here I've been for 14 years. Now, please don't do the math and add up how old I am. Yeah. And all those career transitions.
and
Yeah.
and it's okay, you know what I mean. So, and a little bit about myself in case you all don't know, right? Of course, most of you might know me for radio and all that, but of course I had my past life in broadcasting as well, in on part-time as a newsreader. But the other thing that I was doing was in PR, and PR for consultancy and PR for working for IBM. And even during that time in IBM, right, even though when you're doing PR, I was covering different areas, from software to for IBM Malaysia, and regional work, covering servers. Wow, financial services sector. So, in that kind of gamut, I think one of the things that I've always been is like I've never sort of sat still and did one thing, right? So it's sort of like a little bit of that, a little bit of design thinking already without knowing that you're design thinking, and you realize that there are actually ways to go about doing it. And of course, hi Yuki, and hi Kane, and hi Chin Yong. Thank you, Cindy, everybody. So anyway, the that whole idea, and I think it was about a couple of years ago when we both started thinking about design thinking, and I read a book about design thinking for your life. And I was like, okay, it was very interesting about the principles, but I wanted to tie it back to the principles of design thinking. And what we're going to do today is we're going to share with you some of the things that we've learned and try to use it in live application. We don't try to be what do you call it? I think we're going to learn along the way. But when there's a process about it, how do you go about with that process, and then using it not just in the concept behind products and services, but your life, right? Because I think like if you consider yourself a product, right? How do you innovate as a product as well, right? Or if you provide a service, how do you innovate in terms of the services that you have? So I think that's that whole concept. And if there's a process to creativity, why not learn that, right? So Sheila, anything to add before I start showing this? I got some slides as well, so you all won't be wasting your time. Everybody needs slides, right? Okay. So I'm gonna share this, right? So and of course, I purposely got the slides with color pencils, to show how, because I know Sheila likes colors, otherwise she
I
wouldn't be
do.
joining me. Yes. So
I do.
anyway,
I love
so
colors.
so if y'all haven't seen this is the principle. I'm going to go to the second slide. These are the process of design thinking, right? Maybe what I'll let the teacher here explain, then I'll add. Very clever. I give the tough work to her, and I just add flavor. But the whole process,
Ah.
a very simple process. Okay, I'll pass it on to you, Sheila.
Well, okay, so it's 5 steps, right? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And the thing is, in many in it, it's something that people have begun to find out in industry that you need to do co-creation by talking to your stakeholders. And
Mhm.
often companies used to just talk to maybe their customers,
Mm.
or they used to come up with what their take on what is needed out there and come up with products and services as solutions, right, as opportunities to grow their business. But really, when the whole thought of co-creation came into existence, we find out that it's not just what people are telling you about what they need. It's also about what they don't need. It's not just talking to your customers, it's also talking to your non-customers to
Right.
find out how come they're not your customers.
Mm.
Talking to people with niche sort of needs. I mean, Restream itself, the platform that you're using today, Frida, it's an example
Yes.
of design thinking.
Right.
Somebody would have said a statement like, Ayo, so many social media platforms to go on. Do I choose this? Do I choose that? Who's got the time? I wish there was just one way I could put something out there live and it go everywhere. And somebody would have said, that's an opportunity statement to
Right.
provide such a platform. And voila, you have Restream,
Right,
right?
because right now, as you all know, if you guys haven't used Restream, right? I mean, it goes on my LinkedIn, it's on my Twitter, it's on my Facebook, it's on my YouTube, and whatever other platforms that they might have, right? So, and my work is done, right? I don't have to go back and say I have to download this and share it other platforms. Yeah. So Yeah, sorry, that was the point. Yeah.
Right. No, no, no worries. Yeah. So empathize is where you go and talk to everybody and anybody. It doesn't just have to be your customers. It can be all your stakeholders, internal, external, your vendors, your partners, your, investors and anybody and everybody basically. It's just getting information, and
Hmm.
why they call it empathize, it's because you are actually going out there at the level of the person and asking them questions. Now, sending out a questionnaire doesn't cut it, Lana, because there's lots of things that you don't get with a questionnaire. So when you go out and you actually talk to people face to face or even on Zoom or whatever, what people are telling you through their physiology, their tone, their facial expressions and all that could actually lead you to ask other leading questions, right?
Mm.
So once you've gathered all this volume of information, you got to sift through it. Maybe you got to categorize it and all that. It is this raw quantitative data. Some of it might be qualitative, and then put it together and look, what are people needing? What are people are saying? Is that like if there was an opportunity or business that meets that particular need, they'll go for it. And so then at that point of define, you don't even look at what the problem is. You're not problem solving
Right.
yet. You are giving what we call an opportunity statement. So the
Hmm.
opportunity statement is that there is an opportunity to provide this service or this product. There is an opportunity here that to refine something that we have, or
Yeah.
improve upon it, that would maybe then expand our customer base, right?
Mm.
Or so then when you've come up with all these opportunity statements, then you start to ideate.
Right.
You got that's the problem solving thing, where you brainstorm. You just
Right.
let your mind go free and you just brainstorm with a bunch of people. If you're doing it in a corporate setting, or even for me, what I do, right, when I want to sort of do apply design thinking to my business, my own business, I'm a
Mm.
small outfit, I don't have like 100 people working with me. I'll get a few of my associate
Right.
trainers. I'll get people like you, Frida, come in on a platform and ask the
Mm.
questions and get the feedback. So, or even to ideate, throw ideas at what I can do, and
Right.
then when I've collected these ideas, I use the metrics to determine which would be the most feasible, right?
Mm.
Financially, and which would be the most feasible in terms of the lowest hanging fruit you start with, I know, in the sense that I've got the resources and I can actually take it to market. So, it's, yeah.
Right.
Mm,
I think before you get into the next area, a lot of people just go into ideating and not spend time empathizing and defining. So when you start, if you don't get to the root cause of whatever it is or the real heart of it, and we just actually like to ideate
mm.
without going back, because that's my natural inclination. I start ideating, but I have to go back to why I'm ideating in the first place.
And
Right.
that's the reason,
Mhm.
sorry, Frida,
Yeah,
that's the
go on.
reason why people go and ideate. In Malay, the Malay language, there's a
Mm,
word for it. It's like shock sendiri.
mm,
It's like, I do it as I please because I think this is the best idea. It's the I. So design thinking, look at the I in design thinking, because it's not about the I, it's about the we,
right.
right?
So we ideate, not
We
ideate.
did,
We
we did, we
ideate.
did, yeah,
Okay, okay. Then I guess from there, after the ideation part, is then we can start developing, prototypes of what you come up with, right? And the beauty
yeah.
about you come up with this prototype, you test. I'm just simplifying it. You test this prototypes, right? If it doesn't work, you go back to the prototype and work on that, and you start, changing it and testing it again. What they call it, minimum viable product, the MVP, right?
Yeah.
Before you get to the MVP stage and you start putting your idea to test. So, um, and so with that, right? Like, so if you were to apply those principles to what you want to do in life, experiment, try new things, right? And that's where this works, this doesn't work, it's okay. I always have this story. I said, no one bleeding, no one died, it's okay, move on.
Mm, mm,
Right.
absolutely.
uh, did you want to add on to this before I move
Uh,
to the next? Mm,
no, I think that one thing that you have to like understand when you apply the design thinking process wherever, if it's your personal life, whether it's a company or business, you cannot be afraid of failure.
mm,
You,
right.
you cannot be afraid, because sometimes you might start this whole process, you might come up with the prototype, and then you might go and test it. And that first prototype, people might say, no, I wouldn't buy this, I wouldn't go for this. And then if you're going to sit and be crushed and say that that is a waste of all my time, then you are absolutely wrong, because there's something to be learned from the things
Yeah.
that don't work out either.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So and that's the beauty, right? Because we just try it out, and there's nothing wrong. We've got to experiment and see where it goes. So people stop, right? When you apply to life, suddenly it's like, okay, it didn't work last time. You don't, and everything I've tried, even though things, everything was a learning process, right? And then you take out, okay, so this works, this doesn't work, and then apply on to the next thing, right? Okay, move on to the next slide. So yes, this is that concept where Thomas Edison said, "I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." So I must have missed a letter there, but a word there. But they just found 10,000 ways that won't work, right? So that's the idea as well. If we apply that, I mean, imagine if he didn't do it 10,000 times, we'd be sitting here in the dark.
Absolutely. No
No
light, no
electricity, no
electricity.
electricity, no internet. So thank God, Thomas Edison, kept on trying, right? And he
Yeah.
didn't fail. So with that, okay. And then of course, if you guys have questions on that, so how can I use then design thinking for my life, right? Okay, I think before we get started, this is really really important, and of course we'll talk and chat about this as well. The first thing is to be curious, right? And I think that's important in everything in life, right? Be curious about how this works, but curious about how that, or why things are that way, so if you, and it comes back to that, what fixed mindset, uh growth mindset, hi Ida, so when you have a growth mindset, you're always curious, right? And that's an important thing. And Sheila, just as I add, just tamba whatever you feel like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need to add
sure,
on to,
sure, sure. Yeah.
right? Experiment, try stuff, right? Try stuff. And I think like so many things I've done, I was just going through the things that I've done in my life, right? From working in a hotel as a receptionist to playing the keyboard on Christmas Eve when I, just to earn some money. I've been a DJ. What else have I done? That's like we work stuff, right?
What haven't you done,
Done,
Frida?
right?
That's the question, I think.
I'm stuffed envelopes. It was in Australia in university. It was good money stuffing envelopes, so I've done that as well. So and when you stuff envelopes, you realize that this is not what I want to do in life. But I tried, and I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do. Now, the other thing is reframe problems, right? And this is I think this is where people usually get stuck, right? And of course, Sheila, as a coach, right? It's always, I have a problem. People come to you, and then you look at reframing problems. For example, I mean, maybe you can give some examples in the numerous numbers of people you've coached.
Okay, so reframing is just one, it's a fantastic, very, very powerful principle that causes you, that prompts the person to look at what they're going through from a completely different angle, as in the angle of asking yourself, instead of, you sitting down morning, crying over the spilt milk and asking why is this happening to me? It's asking, what can I learn from this that is happening to me? All right. So when I discovered the power of reframing, I realized that it helped me to pivot my life from operating at effect to operating at cause, to taking charge and taking control. So every time I found myself in a situation where life knocked me down, see, that's an effect statement anyway. Life
Right.
happens, like, it doesn't intend to sit there purposely knock you down. So it happens. And it's not the things that happen that bring you down, it's how you respond to those, right?
Right.
So reframing itself, if you want to do design thinking to your life, one thing I always tell people, never regret all the things you have done or not done or
Mm.
been through. Never regret the way you have been, the mistakes you have made. I read this book by Susan Jeffers. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And she says there are no mistakes.
Mm.
All right, there are no wrong decisions. You make a decision which you feel for you at that time is the thing to do,
Yeah.
and then you go down that path. If it doesn't work, I mean, are you like, if you take a road somewhere and there's a roadblock or a landslide, what, are you going to sit down there and cry, is it, until someone comes and airlifts you? You figure out a way to make another route to go to your destination, or choose another destination. We don't have to go to that place, we go somewhere else. So life is like that. You take if a decision doesn't work for you, then just make another decision.
Right.
So that is another way of a reframe. And a reframe is also to ask yourself, when the pandemic happened, so many people didn't have, for me, for example, Frida,
Mm,
3 months, no business, no
right.
salary, no money coming in. So I could have sat down there and gone to a major panic, as like I had reserves, like, but at the end of the
Mm,
day, it's been 2 years now. We thought 6 months, 1 year, and now it's going
mm,
into the third year, right?
right.
So things have slowed down all that, but you ask yourself, okay, reframe. What do I do with this time that I have where I can't go out, can't talk to people, I can't get distracted by things in life? Do I focus on myself and look at this downtime on how I can reinvent myself, as a trainer, as a coach, learn to do things on the digital platform, learn about digital transformation, do a course on design thinking,
Thinking, yeah.
which you and I did 9 months. It was grueling, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we actually did it just before the pandemic. So then we really had time to do the homework.
Correct, we did, we did. So I reframed it. Oh, now I got all the time to do my homework, and my classmates from around the world. What's your excuse? I know you're working from home, but you can still 1 hour to have a meeting. So,
Right.
it really. I think the pandemic, if you want to reframe the whole thing, it was a reboot for a lot of us to
Mm-hmm.
re-examine our lives and what we considered to be the priorities.
The great reawakening, right? And you were saying that reframe problems, and I always say that, like when you look at whether it's to reinvent yourself or to me to enhance your life, right? I mean,
Mm.
sometimes people think I need to be a complete 180. Hey, enhance little bit, add on to the skills that you have and all that. You also mentioned about cause and effect, and many times I've come to you, Sheila, making a statement and said, Frida, you're operating at this level. So, okay, how should I look at it differently? So I know sometimes the words that we say, are we operating at cause or are we operating at effect, right? So,
You know the thing, Frida, about being a coach and a trainer to a lot
mm,
of people, and even my family members have come for my certification program in NLP and timeline therapy. The thing about that is, I can't get away with operating at effect. I can't
mm,
get away with whinging at any length of for any length of time, a period of time, about stuff that's going on. They'll just turn around and say to me, "Hello, practice what you preach." Even my kids, mom, operate at cost, please. You're operating at effect. And like, wham, it's good to have people like that around. So it breaks that pattern of sitting and moaning and
right.
groaning and feeling helpless and all that.
You don't
That's
you
my
don't look okay. You don't look at your
sorry.
children. You don't look at your children and say, "You've taught me. I've taught you too much."
I do. My God, I create the little monsters.
Okay. Woon Chin Yong said design. Okay, no, we did it with Emeritus. This was the if you go to Emeritus, they would be one of the courses that they offer as well, right? So that is a very design thinking thing and all that. So that's where we
And
did that.
Chinyo, it's quite highly recommended because they've got three very prestigious colleges partners partnering to deliver this
We had
program.
MIT, we
Columbia
had
Business School
Columbia
and
and
Tuck
Tuck.
School of
So,
Business.
yeah, so this is so yeah, the ultimate people in terms of and doing that. So I mean, even during that period, right? You watching me sweat right now because if I turn on the fan, you all can hear me. So my remote doesn't work, so I'm sweating here. So you see the love on a Saturday afternoon, right?
Mm,
Sitting in the sweat, right? And yeah, so that was one thing that was really good. And then I guess like when you talk about reframing problems again, okay, so after that, know it's a process and you can always ask for help, right? Ask for help, get in ideas. So
mm,
I wanted to then sort of combine what I feel is quite useful and some tips here as well on what you can do. So when remember when I talked about and guys, right? If you have any questions or whatever, just put that down, comments, whatever. We'd love to just have that chat with you. Hi, Regina. Okay, and okay, so when we talk about that five process, right? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, right? I just want to, if I were to humanize it, right? And this is
mm.
again together with the quote about reframing problems that actually came from two lecturers who came out with this book called Designing Your Life, and they're lecturers from Stanford University. So they were applying those principles and applying it to life, right? So to empathize yourself, right? And this is start where you are, right? I mean, this is where you are, this is where you've arrived, and you're just looking at ways to improve and all that. So the and so this is that question, right? When where you are right now, this is where I am. what are my strengths, what are my, what have you, and say, okay, this is maybe I need to enhance my skills, maybe I need to reinvent myself, whatever the word that you try to do. So if I were to equate with the empathize bit, right? The other thing is to define, right? Define then what you want, right? And this is building a compass to where you want to be, right? So some methods, right? I know, and Sheila's got some methods. One of the methods is, right, maybe write a 250-word essay, right? This is one of your life, of your work, right? Write a 250-word essay and a 250 word, so that you'll be concise, right? Of your life. See where it complements, see where it clashes, and I guess, like, and where do you want to make some changes there. And I think Sheila also have a couple of comments, like, are you happy, right?
Mm.
Sheila was saying,
Yeah.
um
Yeah. I mean,
mm,
are you happy with where you are, with what
mm,
you're ideating? A lot of us become consumed by bitterness and disillusionment. So you've been in a job for 10, 15, 20 years. You don't like it anymore. You're not growing anymore. You're not excited anymore. You want more.
mm,
Then go and find more. All right, go and find more. Decide what you want to be, where you want to go. But of course, with every kind of decision you make, there is something that gives and in order for you to get. All
right.
right, like for me, for example, at some point I decided I wanted freedom. Freedom was the highest value, and I want to go and work on my own to kind of do the trainings and coachings that I want to do to create my own brand, to go in and do things the way I want to do it rather than just answering to someone. Of course, the sacrifice I had to make is getting a regular salary coming in at the end of every month with all the perks.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go out and leave and have nothing. And they're in the running your own business. There are risks. There's some
Yeah.
months you get a lot of money and some months you don't get a lot of money. You just need to find a balance and the right mindset to be able to face the thing that you want. And you might in the process lose something, but you might gain infinitely more.
Right. Okay. So then the idea behind ideate is, so the method that was taught to me was to have an Odyssey plan. Now, what's an Odyssey plan? Odyssey plan, I'm sure you've all heard of this before. One of which is have three life plans. Okay. Life one is life as it is right now, and the trajectory 5 years from now. Okay. And not just in terms of career, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your family, what is that trajectory 5 years from now? And look at it. And when you look at it, you may be very excited about this trajectory where you are 5 years from now. I'm sure people who prepared their trajectory, their 5 year plan before the pandemic, didn't think that it would work out that way, right? So that's the thing. And the other trajectory, life two, they call it, is if something was removed from you, how would that life plan look like, right? And it makes you start thinking, hey, I better look at finances, I better look at this, I better look at that, whatever, right? Think of that 5 year plan beyond your career. And the third one, the other 5 year life plan is money and image. Okay, so not money and time, money and image is not an issue. What would you be doing? And from there, you'll find things that excite you, and or not excite you, right? And that's when you go into, hey, I want to actually experiment a little bit more in this area, right? And you can actually, during that process, also do some mind mapping, do that kind of thing, and where do you think that will go from there? So that's the part that we start ideating. But before that, of course, you've got to build that compass, right? And apart, so doing the ideating, and then after, you go into researching or prototyping here. Okay, so again, Sheila, just butt in whenever you want to butt in, huh? Okay,
Yeah,
so
I did want to say something about that whole Odyssey plan, right? Very
mm,
often when you think about what you want to be doing, you then quickly look at the resources and you say, oh yeah, I can't, not enough money, not enough knowledge, not enough this. And before your plan even has a chance to like see daylight, it's
mm-hmm,
already like, it's snuffed out already because you focus on what you don't have rather than what you want. And
right,
I have found very often just focus on what you want and visualize. I mean, yeah, people say visualization, new age and all that, but a lot of times when I've had a picture in my mind, finally it has actually, come to be. So
mm,
ask yourself what you want and then you flush out. Okay, I don't have a lot of the resources. It's okay, what resources do I need, where can I go them? And they say sometimes, like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? I have
Mm,
another take on that, right? When the person is ready, the opportunities will appear. They
mm,
will come within your radar. Then suddenly you will find the it's like the whole design thinking program. What
right.
happened before the pandemic, right? I was like getting requests from companies to come and teach their people critical thinking, strategic thinking, problem solving, and innovation and all that. And I'm like, whoa, I need to know how to do this stuff. But where do I learn? Where do I learn? So when I was ready, right, I was ready to pay the money. I had some money at that point of time to pay. Guess what happened? Where did I find this ad? On social
Mm,
media?
right.
Emeritus.
Right.
Okay, let me
Right.
just go. Yeah, it took me a month or two to decide because the costing, I want to know whether they're legit. Then I saw who the supporters for this program are, and I signed it. And believe it, when you're ready, the opportunity comes, you grasp it. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. When did I start talking to you about it? It was like I said, hey, let's. It wasn't something that you brought up because I talked about it and I was also doing my own research. And then somehow that sort of triggered us both to do it. But of course, I
yeah,
let you
because
do
we are both avid learners. I've gone and done courses that you said are good. I'm like, oh yeah, come, I want to do. And then when I was telling you I was doing this, I think I started in October of 2019. And
Yeah.
then I was talking to you about it around Christmas, before Christmas. And you
Mm.
said, I want to do it, but no, you go first, and then I'll see after that.
You fail
So I
first.
no, no, no. But I learn first, and then, like, legit or not, then good or not, then I'll tell you to go, and that's what you did as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to research here, right, there are many ways of researching what's right, right? You can actually, whether it's I want to start working on an organic farm and I want to do things around animals. You'd be surprised, right? A lot of things that you want to do outside, life, right? You want your life to be rich and all that, right? You can start of course right now it's so easy, right? You can just google and research on different things. Right, during that process of design thinking as well, then I took up a course in futurist, right? Because I was very interested in where the future of media is, the future of education, the future of work. So then that led me to that kind of growth again, that kind of learning, and I learned some things there as well. Maybe a talk for another day. So and then after that you experiment, right? And when you talk about experimenting, is there are so many ways of experimenting. You can try to shadow someone, for example. You can say, hey, I'm very interested in what you're doing, can I buy you lunch, right? If you know someone who's in a different area, let me buy you lunch so I can find out a bit more what you're doing. Ask for a 1 week internship. We've had people joining the radio station before. We call it midterms. So they know that this is not what they want to do. They've got something else they want to do, but they just want to like understand the industry. Sure, and so you'll be, so it's like a paid experience for them. So there are many ways of actually learning if you actually open up your mouth and ask someone, I want to
Mm,
understand your industry. And in that process of research, it may be something that you don't want to do. That's fine too, right?
mm, mm.
Um, so that's just us breaking it down. Anyway, if you have any questions here and all that, just let us know. Otherwise, the next slide is actually thank you. Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to add here, Frida, no matter how senior you are in an organization, how entrenched you are in, a particular profession or industry, how high up
Mm,
you are, how old you are in terms of age and educated, you must always have a willingness to be able to learn from someone else who might be less qualified than you,
mm.
who might be younger than you, who might not have that much experience. You must always have your eyes and ears open to get the feedback from
Right. Right.
people around there.
If and again, one of the things where you want to get ideas is something that we actually learn, which I won't spend time here, but it's understanding weak signals. Weak signals is going to affect your industry. Weak signals affects the industry, which means will affect your life, right? But there's a whole there are many aspects of the weak signals that you need to look at. Here I just got a comment here from Ida who said stumbling block, and I think maybe the words stumbling block itself, right? How can you reframe those that kind of conversation?
Yeah. So Ita, here's the thing. You're going on a road, a journey, and you just finally suddenly just see a mountain in your path. And if you're going to say, oh my God, I can't get on, there's a mountain in my path, but there's so many ways to get past a mountain. You can climb it, you can walk around it a bit of a long way, you can blast a tunnel through it, you can
Mm.
get a helicopter if you have money to come and airlift you above that mountain. Some people see mountains, some people build casinos and resorts on the mountains.
Right,
So,
right.
right,
And
right.
make money
Yeah.
on that, right?
Exactly, exactly. That's a reframe. So if that mountain is there, ask yourself, what can I do with it? And
Mm.
when you overcome that mountain, my God, the sense of achievement you have and the amount of resilience that you grow just by doing that, that experience, right? Nothing can teach you.
Right.
Nobody
And
can
and
teach you that.
and there's that thing again, the words we use, and that's another conversation in NLP, maybe conversation for another day. The words we use, I always catch myself if I say something that is not progressive, right? That puts a stop to it, right? When you just say, right, so you use the word stumbling block, and then what happens? Mentally, you stop thinking, right? Okay, here is something that I want to overcome. How many ways can I overcome this, right? Instead of using the word stumbling block, you are putting a stop to yourself because it's a block, right? Then of course now, of course, Sheila has said you can go around and do it. So sometimes we can say things like, okay, I want to, how can I overcome this? What are the ways that I can do this? My destination is this. This is my way. How do I then reach there, right? So a lot of times as well, I think, like, if you all seen it, we're in our comfort zone, and then we get uncomfortable, we want to grow, right? And along the way there is this thing called the learning in between, right?
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
where that growth comes in. That's where you overcome that block, as you put it, right? So I don't use those words in my life. I choose not to use those words in my life, so
Yeah, it's
well.
very important because we think that we use words to describe our lives, but actually, what we're doing is we're using words that actually create our life. The words that you
Mm-hmm.
use create the reality that you have in many ways. So, we have a question here from Crane who asked what TLT is. TLT is short form for timeline
Timeline
therapy.
therapy, yeah.
Yeah, which is another modality you use together with NLP to help people get past the internal stumbling blocks, the internal beliefs,
Ah,
the limiting beliefs that hold you back and tell you, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't be good enough, I can't do sales, I can't study anymore, I can't be successful in business if I step out and do it. I mean, there's so many cons that we have in our heads that limit us from, and the thing is, you can have the best aspiration, the set the biggest goal, the biggest desire in your life. I can want to be that thing, but if I internally, sometimes we don't even recognize it, we don't believe that we can be that thing, that thing is just going to self-sabotage us.
right. Okay. On that note, the sweat is coming down my back. If there are no questions, thanks for joining us, and thanks for spending. We make sure that we won't stay here too long. Your afternoon with us. And oh, now I know. Okay. Thanks, Jin Yong. Choice of words. Yeah, life or death. I mean, we both believe
Yeah.
that can kill or can give you life. And also, if any questions about training around design thinking, you can definitely be in touch with Sheila. Sometimes we work together on these projects in terms of design thinking. And of course, you want to talk about life coaching, also Sheila, right? But yes, we do touch base quite regularly because she comes on in my life in other ways as well. All right. Thank you, Yuki. Okay, and everyone. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us again. You can
Thank
be in
you,
touch with us.
everyone.
All right. Have a lovely weekend. I want to
Yep.
sleep.
Yeah, thank you, Frida, for having me join you on this. It was and as always, it's very empowering being with you in a platform and sharing our knowledge and information. And we'll be on, I think,
Yeah,
more
we'll be
often.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now
yeah,
that I've
talking about other
discovered
things.
I've discovered this new tool, I can do this, right? And there you go.
Let's
All right.
apply design thinking, Frida, and ask our audience
Yeah.
what they want to listen to.
Okay, right. So whatever you want to do, and if we don't know what to do, we will find someone to do it. But we never say we don't know. We'll find a way. All
Yeah, we
right.
always find a way, right? Thank you,
Okay.
everyone. Have a great
Bye.
weekend.
Bye,
Bye.
Ella.